He can pull it off my.
We're live.
Yay, we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Oh, I'm so excited today, you guys. Those of you who have joined us today are in for a rare treat. I am here with Ana del Castillo, and she is an empowerment expert and certified coach. And you are just in for a treat. So go ahead and grab your beverage, get settled in, do what you need to do, because you're not going to want to peel yourself away today. I am so looking forward. Welcome, Ana. I'm so glad that you can be here today with us.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking. I'm even the conversation that we were having earlier, right before we jumped on, was this like lovely, meaningful conversation. I'm thrilled to extend it to more people.
Yes, I just can't wait. I just feel something is going on, some kind of synergy, something is happening. This has been the culmination of a lot of different things. And I'm just so excited that you could be here today and just share with us your wisdom, especially concerning, us just bringing in and becoming our most authentic selves and manifesting the life of our dreams. Removing those blocks. I'm all about removing blocks. And if you are new to following me or new to my channel, I want to let you know there is information in the description if you want to follow Ana, and Ana will be giving everybody your digits again in this broadcast. So stick around. Put your viewers, put your comments and questions in the chat so that we can get to those. And we'll get to those more toward the end because I want to let Ana talk, and I am so excited about what we're talking about today. So Ana, what is it that you do exactly, and how did you come to this work?
I love that question. How did you come to this work? Okay, I'm going to answer the second one first. So how did I come to this work? I, grew up like a lot of us. I didn't necessarily grow up in a surrounding that was fostering of self-expression and being authentically myself. I was, in fact, I grew up in a household where that was diametrically opposing sort of forces, and I was somewhere in the middle, sort of like squeezed in and sort of squashed. And I found, especially for myself, given that I either on a certain level either have to self-express or explode or cause problems, and so I was causing all the problems. The thing about creativity and the thing about self-expression is that if it doesn't, it's energy. So if it doesn't move somewhere, it becomes self-destructive or destructive outward. And so I was both of those things. And in order to basically thrive, survive, do well in the world, I actually had to like figure out how to free myself from the stuff that I'd been conditioned to, trained to, forced, and figure out how to actually be authentic and be myself in a way that for a long time I did it reactionarily wise, you know what I mean? Watch me, like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then eventually had to learn through a lot of trial and error, how to just fundamentally be myself, regardless of what was going on outside. Mm-hmm. And that took a long time. And I was also someone who was just, an earthy, wiser soul, so to speak. And I was always, people were always coming to me and always giving themselves their stories and their feelings. And I was just one of those sounding boards. And so at one point I became, a number of years ago, a certified coach and made it official. And so that's how I became that. That's the real Reader's Digest version of that. I'd been through a ton of trauma and worked my way out of that. And so that's the short version of that. And what I do with women is I specifically work with women. There's two groups that I work with that are my sweet spot. First one is women. I love working with women, especially women that are already doing great things in the world or really finding themselves being like they're successful in a lot of areas, but for whatever reason, we as women find that we're doing all the right things. We always do the right things. We're always sacrificing ourselves for our family and for the people around us. And yet somehow it's not giving us the payoff emotionally and psychologically. We're not actually happy. We're not actually really, we're just somehow the world that we've created and the life that we've created for ourselves has us feel less and less and less in the world, in our body, in our joy, in our heart, and in our own throat so that we can speak.
I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that.
So I work with women to actually get themselves back in their body, back in their sex, back in their hearts, back in their everything in an authentic way that feels good to themselves and to the people around them. Like genuinely.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And then the other demographic I work with and around is that, I have a particular expertise around disordered or adaptations, ways of being, like narcissism, borderline schizoid personality disorder. And I even though a lot of people are walking around with those kinds of adaptations, they don't know they're walking around with those kinds of adaptations. And so I know how to really point people on the map about like how to actually heal from those kinds of shattering experiences.
And that's one of the things that drew me to you at first, Anna, is that you're able to locate where someone's at and you kind of really identify with them on a level that I don't think most people do or most coaches do. So that's incredible. What has been the main, like, what has been the thing that has impacted you the most in learning about this area and learning how to help women in this area?
That's such a large question.
I know.
I'm going to see. I can go in a lot of different directions around this.
Whatever you feel.
I'll answer it this way. So I was the kind of kid that had a lot of moxie. I always had the kind of moxie that was like, you tell me I can't do something, you watch me. Go Fangula you. I would like be that kind of thing. And so I lived life and was very successful at it. I was on Broadway, I toured the country, I was like singing for president, I was doing all that stuff, making a lot of money. And I had a lot of rubber skin, so to speak, like things didn't really get in. I remember being on stage at one point and someone who I admired for many, many years was on stage performing. I was performing with one of the people that I had like admired greatly. I was at a milestone moment in my life. And I remember being like, I can't feel anything. That's so interesting. I wonder what I'm going to have for dinner. Like nothing got through, like nothing. Wow. And I didn't even know that nothing was getting through. Mm-hmm. And then, there's for people who don't know my story, then something really large happened in my life. And I'd already had a number of things in my life that were large that I built sort of a lot of Kevlar around myself about. Mm-hmm. Pardon me, my father and my brother were both murdered, and I was in a fight with my dad at the time when it happened. And the thing that I got deeply when that happened was the thing that ripped into my mind at 3 a.m. when I got that call, because I was on the road with the show, was I hadn't told my father that I loved him because he and I were in a fight. Oh. And I had an inkling that day to do so. And I didn't. And I didn't know that I was and I had my reasons for why. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't squirrel out of that. I couldn't like Jimmy my way out of that. And so for a lot of years, that reality of like, oh my God, I like withheld love from someone that I like will never be able to give again, ripped apart a lot of the defenses that I had. And then I went the exact opposite route, which I just couldn't quite find the moxie again. I just couldn't. Wow. And I like literally had to because it was built in so much of the defensiveness that I had to rework myself back to authentically, like genuinely authentically figuring out. First of all, I was shattered all over the place, and I had to sort of bring all the shattered pieces back, love them back into myself, find their own voice, and then bring them back into mine, and actually had to recreate myself to a large degree all over again. Maybe all for the first time because I had built a false self when I was younger. And that process, that deeply intimate, incredibly challenging, meaningful process. It's like a lot of dark nights of the soul has me for, that was the curriculum I had for my life to be able to I saw into myself, and that actually gave me the insight to be able to see into people and what people were doing and why and what was going on, and to be able to lovingly, acceptingly speak to hear what someone is saying underneath, and then speak to that, and then draw out the truth. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And you know what? That is so incredible that you're able to just be with them in any, even see what's under the defense mechanisms that they might have and be able to help them integrate their parts. Because, I'm going through this 30-day radical self-love challenge on my YouTube channel, and you could check it out over on Mindset Mom if you want. But I'm finding that is the process. That's the journey. Taking all these fragmentations, just as you said so beautifully. I love that. I love that.
I'll say something to what you just said. There's what most people do, and the reason why, since you talk about mindset, is I love the 30-day challenge. I would encourage anybody who wants to do that to do 30-day containers and then do that ongoing for the rest of your life.
Yes, it never ends.
For the rest of your life. Okay, great. Next one. Because there's no amount of self-hatred or self-criticism that's ever going to bring you into self-love. It's never going to happen. Ever.
I love that.
So self-love is actually the only, self-acceptance and self-love is actually the only way through. So anyway, please continue.
Oh, I'm taking all that in because, we especially women, we can beat ourselves up so much and we don't even realize we're doing it because it sounds like us, right? It sounds like our voice. It sounds like how we normally go through our thoughts, think our thoughts, go through our lives. And we're not even recognizing sometimes how that is toxic energy, or how that is not being accepting and not being loving. And what would you say to the women who don't understand that? Because I'm finding in this journey that the way to heal is through self-love, but getting there, especially those of us who did not have that modeled in our lives, this is how you love yourself. This is how, and then didn't receive it. Maybe, I don't want to say not receiving love from parents, because it's not so much of a blame thing, but it really wasn't modeled for us. The opposite was modeled. And so when we start this journey of self-love and self-acceptance, it can feel really foreign. Do you would you like to speak to how we can stop making that process feel like other or feel foreign? Because we tend to bump up against things that are unfamiliar, right? We don't want to accept it even to start.
Yeah, it's super uncomfortable too. And it's like, how the hell it's like we talk about like self-love and we're like, la la la, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And that doesn't actually mean anything.
Absolutely.
And we think that if we just like, I don't know, I get manicures all the time. So this isn't about that. If we get like more manicures or more, massages or haircuts or like do, or it's like you do whatever you want to do, baths, which is all great in the right, like the content is driven by the context. And so contextually is what I want to talk to, so all of that content is great, but like given the right context, so is screaming. So is saying no. That's actually an act of self-love in the right context. So I don't want to talk about content as much. I mean, I will probably, but like I really want to focus more on the context of what self-love actually is. And like, so first and foremost, especially since we were talking about shame and how do we actually break through the things and how do we actually like figure out how to like do self-love in real time. Oh my gosh. So confidence and shame. People think that I'm confident. And the reason why people think that I'm confident isn't about bravado. Confidence isn't about like I know how to speak up. I do. But the only reason why I know how to speak up and the only reason why I look like I have confidence is because I've spent a lot of time like accepting the parts of myself that I felt fundamentally I couldn't accept. The parts that I hated about myself, the parts that I thought I needed to change and fix, and there was something wrong with that, all the parts that I thought that were like radically wrong about myself. There was some decision I made a lot of years ago where I was like, I'm no longer going to let any part of myself be lost in the wilderness the way it has been. Like I was raised in an atmosphere where everything I did and who I was wrong. Oh. And I was like, the antidote to that is figuring out how to make everything about me right. Even if I want to shift it. I'm in a deep commitment to making everything inside of me, accepting the parts of myself I can't accept. And so how shame is um, multiplies, how shame gets stronger, how shame becomes like a foundation point is in hiding. So first and foremost, if you're someone out there who's like got a lot of shame and it's like you're sort of, and I've been there, like you're literally like the voices in the head, just like you can't do anything right and you're ashamed about every single thing and you can't imagine being in all that stuff. Shame hides.
Yes.
So I don't care who it is for you, whether it's a coach, a therapist, a friend, someone on the street, who, as long as that person has a good and compassionate and wise heart and can hear you and listen to humanity in a way where they can make it acceptable for you to bring out the unacceptable in yourself and just get a little bit more breath, just a little bit more breath where you could be like, okay, I just said the worst thing about myself and now I have some breathing space.
Oh, wow.
So the first and foremost thing is to break the cycle of shame that has us, especially as women, we are told constantly in every conceivable way what shape we're allowed to be in and what shape we're not allowed to be in, what color hair, what age, what we're allowed to eat, what we're not allowed to eat, what kind of sex we're allowed to have. Are we supposed to even have sex, desire sex? Like we're so in a small little box that
Yep.
little by little by little by little, we need to start unraveling that. And the first way is in breaking up the way that shame has us like handcuffed and tied behind our back. Start telling the truth. Start telling the truth to yourself first and then to another human being. First and foremost. So, I mean, I just said a whole bunch of stuff. And so I
Wow.
want that to land a little bit before I go on to like, that's like a tangible thing to do first and foremost. I can go on to another couple of things, but I wanted to know if you had any questions or.
Yeah, I love it. I'm checking the comments here. I'm seeing that we are streaming on Facebook. Just sorry, I don't want to get distracted by the things on here. But yes, I am so tracking with what you're saying about breaking that grip that shame has on us, because just as you said, like women, we are told by society, by our families, by religion, by culture, I mean, it just surrounds us constantly, that if you don't live up to this standard, if you don't live up to this preconceived ideal or whatever, that you should feel shameful. And that is like, I'm finding that is like the opposite of love. Shame is like, I don't know if this is like technically true or not, but shame is like, love is, I think, the antidote to that shame. And what you're describing to me is a process of like confronting each and every little element of shame in our lives. Would you say that it takes the full concentration to take one thing at a time and just like hammer it away with the self-love and the acceptance? Like, what does that process look like for a lot of the women that you've worked with? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I love that you're alluding to something that I talk about all the time. What ends up happening also is that we, as people generally speaking, but especially women, is that we speed ourselves up. You know, it's like we start to get anxious, we'll start to feel shameful, and then we'll go into the thing to fix us, and then we'll go into like the thing, we start to actually like go, okay, so then I'll do this and I'll do that program and I'll do that. Like we start to speed ourselves up and we're like floating on top of the very thing. And so what you're alluding to is like slowing. So what I do with women is that I like just like slow us. We did it right before we got onto the call, you know.
I love
We're gonna
that.
go into like the doing of it, right? Let's figure out what we're gonna do. And I was like that always, I know in my own system, produces anxiety.
Yes.
I'm doing. And so let's just like, we'll do the doing. Do you know what most of us have? It's not just a woman phenomenon, by the way, but it's for sure, because women are, it's funny, like, you know, there's this joke about how in the movies, the women are always portrayed like, what do we do? And like, I don't know any woman who's like, what do we do? Women are like, you do this and you do that.
Right?
Women are like master doers, you know?
Hmm.
Like we get stuff done. And so we're really, really effective at getting stuff done. But and what we think in the world, the way to actually achieve things and you know and get things and like all of that stuff is that we like if I write the book, then I'll be successful and then I'll be happy, right? If I get the job, then I'll have money and then I'll be happy. And like
Yeah.
that model is literally like what's called the hedonic treadmill, right? The hedonic treadmill, which is just like you're constantly on this treadmill that you get nowhere, but you think that you're going really far and you can like accomplish
Yes.
a lot of stuff in life. But really it's like, so what we did, like, and you all weren't on the call with Vestine and I, but Vestine and I, I was like, let's just like check in and be with each other. Like, who are you this moment? Like, what's your temperature? What's your emotional weather? Like, let's just like check in as a being here.
Yep.
And then from that being, whatever that being is, if you were sad, if you were angry, if you were like, you know, like melancholy, if you felt really horny, if you felt really like pet, like whatever that reality is, let's just meet it right now and bring acceptance to it. And like actually
Yes.
like let that next moment be whatever that next moment is. I wanted to answer something that I'm all over, but I wanted to answer something back because I want to actually let people, I don't know what people are going to hear inside of this, but I want to, telling someone your truth or telling someone your shame is not just the only thing. I personally, for me, I was so at a certain point, especially after my father and my brother died, could barely even let people in. I like had the 100-yard stare, you know? And so there was literally like, I would journal, I would write letters, I would do something called like, just to get into my body a little bit,
Hmm.
just to let myself be a little free. I would do a shaking meditation, which is just for like 5 minutes. I would let my body do whatever it felt like. And so if I wanted to shake and scream and cry and hit the pillow, I would let myself just be for
Yeah.
5 minutes. And then I would meditate, like I just put a little bit of breath inside of that. And then I would just start surrounding my life with people who actually could hear me, could actually hear me. I think having a village around you that actually like supports the you that you're becoming and not the you that you need to be for others is really, really important as well. I can't speak enough to like actually having people around you that support the you that you want to become.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that you take the person right where they're at and then you just let them be like with whatever emotion, whatever is going on. Just like, I love this whole thing you talk about too, Anna, that you want to bring us back into our bodies. I think we spend so much time up in our heads, which takes us to the future. And like you said, all this doing, in fact, my daughter listens to piano music at night and, she's been having a hard time. So I've been helping her get to sleep at night. And there was something that she was listening to last night and it produced, like, I had a dream, but the music was very sad and like on a deep level. And I woke up from that. It woke me up. It was getting into my dreams and it was just very sad, and I didn't allow myself to just feel that sadness in the moment. So I'm reflecting on the words that you said and like, maybe I just needed to sit with that for a minute. Like maybe there's some sadness that needs to, I need to acknowledge in my heart, and be in my body like you're talking about. I love that. I love that. Absolutely love that. And then to have the community come and surround you with support, to become who you are, not who you need to be for other people. I think we as women, we still like, it's so hard to like renew our minds to the fact that we need to be present. And I absolutely love all the things that help us, such as meditation, helping us get into our body, even putting your hand on your heart and breathing is so powerful. And having that support system. What would you say to women who maybe don't have the support system surrounding them right now, but could maybe find it? I mean, do you have any suggestions?
I get teary-eyed. First of all, I wanna if you're someone and you're a woman who's listening to this and you feel a little bit alone, and that's who you're speaking to, it's like you want someone, you want to make changes, you're not 100% certain how, but you have a desire inside of you that either life has been squashing you a little bit or you yourself have been squashed a little bit inside of that, and you're not 100% certain how or what to do. First, I just want to say that I want to speak to the desire inside of you, and that desire, the fact that it's even showing up and that you're listening. I just want to commend you for the courage that it even took for that little bit of desire, because desire is challenging to have in this world,
Oh,
especially as women. So I first want to acknowledge the small desire inside of you that's speaking up and saying, I want something like that. I want to say that I hear it, I listen to it, there's a part of me that gets really moved, and I want to somehow encourage it. If you can't do the big things of like what I'm talking about, start small. Like the path of a what is it, 100 miles starts with the first step. You start with the first step. So let's throw out the large scale, big dreams right now, and let's just go to, if you're on a constant diet or if you hate yourself because of how you eat, just for the next hour, for the next 5 minutes, if it's an hour is too much, for the next 5 minutes, just give yourself a small little container where you go, for the next 5 minutes, I'm just going to let myself eat whatever I want. If I want to have a cookie, I'm going to have a cookie without any self-flagellation or punishment. I'm just going to celebrate the love I have for a cookie.
oh, I love it.
That in and of itself is a radical revolutionary act. You don't have to actually, like, I don't know, become Mother Teresa. You can just right now, if you want to, take a walk. Do the thing that you tell yourself you're not allowed to do. Just like give yourself small little wins every day. I don't care if it's a 5-minute window, a 10-minute window, a 20-minute, whatever it is that your heart can stand. Because having joy actually is a very risky, scary thing in the world, especially when we've been unhappy for a long time, when
Oh,
we've been denied for a long time.
oh, yes.
So I want to speak to that. You know, if you're like literally your life has been like for others for so long, give yourself small little wins. For the ones who are actually doing big things and are actually like, there's something that's missing, I'm not really 100% certain, I don't really know. My thought around that and my coaching around that would be a little different. It would be for an hour or for a day, I want you to forget, especially for the ones who are like really, really successful in doing their thing. Sometimes the train has so left the station and you are running next to this locomotive that's like, and you're not even sure you want to be on the train anymore, that for an hour or a day or a week, I would schedule a life where you are not the person you've created yourself to be, and I would give yourself a week to do your fantasy life. You've always wanted to be an ice skater, be an ice skater. You've always wanted to be a sculptor, sculpt. You've always wanted to lay about and do nothing, lay about and do nothing. Give yourself small containers where you could actually just explore who you are without even the ones that we ourselves have created for ourselves. Throw that out the window every once in a while and just start over, even if it means in small little bits.
Oh
Discover
my
who
gosh.
you are.
I absolutely love that, Anna. I just love how you put such language and a visual with that. It's we do not give ourselves permission to do that. We just, like you said, we're keeping up with even the person we've created in ourselves to be, or fill in the blank, society, our husbands, our kids. And there's something very powerful, I believe, as I'm studying, about being present in our feminine energy and just allowing and trusting and being in the moment is such a powerful thing. I mean, women have been attacked all down through the centuries because of this feminine quality that we contain in ourselves. And how many of us are not walking in it? How many of us are not really fully embracing and living in this? And I wonder, do you encounter it? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have some thoughts. So first I wanna ground and distinguish what feminine, when I hear that, what it means for me, because we say that, especially nowadays, we have masculinity and femininity, and like a lot of times I'm just like, we all assume, like we're walking around and talking as though we all know what the hell we're talking about, but we don't. I don't know what the hell that means. So for me, let me first delineate what that means for me when I hear it. Femininity, or the feminine, for me, in the context of the world that we live in right now, and you can even say the context of like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, is our intuition,
Mm.
our emotion, our knowing, our sixth sense, our nurturing qualities. Now, mind you, men have this as well. So I don't want to make it so that men don't have this, but
Right.
like for this conversation, women are sort of the holders of that
Yes.
for this conversation. Throughout a lot of our history, at some point, those things, our intuition, our feeling, our passions, our knowing, our ability to do magic. And I don't mean like scary magic where we conjure or like witches. Although women from years ago, if you had a sixth sense, if
Oh,
you were like a little bit more passionate or a little alive, you were you were doing magic. You were considered scary.
right. Mm-hmm.
So our magic could be our ability to actually produce good feelings in the people around us, produce love, produce color, make things right. Have you ever seen, and I don't want to speak in generality, but like, you've seen men who like their lives sort of look like whatever, and then a woman comes in and she like makes the house beautiful. Suddenly the man is this handsome man because she's like, we just need to spit shine you up a little bit. That's a form of magic.
Yes.
It's a form, it's like a way in which women, we go, I have this sixth sense. I don't know why, but I feel like we got to go right as opposed to, I know that the mirror, but like in my way, this is right and you all are over there, it's left. But like right as opposed to left. We've shamed that. And so we as women, what we do is because we're part of this world, we have taken on, and there's a lot of different ways that we are taught, we are shown, we are like, conditioned into just squashing our own innate nature and knowing and instinct, our ability to actually like feel alive and passion. I don't know why I want to dance right now. I don't know why I want to like love my body right now. I don't know. I want to do my hair. I want to like be whatever that stuff is.
Love it.
So that's what I hear. I wanted to get very, very clear about what feminine is. And so I don't think we can talk or have a real conversation about how to break through unless you actually know what that is. So now that we know what that is, how do we foster that in ourselves? So when I have a knowing, so part of it is slowing down as opposed to squashing. If I'm angry about something and it's illogical, that's part of the whole, she's crazy. No, I'm angry about something. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to take that feeling seriously. I'm not going to punish everybody around me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to suddenly Dracarys like in Game of Thrones where I suddenly have the dragon that comes out and burns and napalms everybody around me. Although in my school of thinking, in terms of a woman's freedom, and this is maybe a dangerous thing to say, when a woman is genuinely unleashing her power, I would genuinely prefer she burn the barn down and we can clean it up afterwards, then keep that power in.
Mm. That's
Because the
powerful.
power's got to go somewhere. So I'd rather it go
Exactly.
out than destroy her. But if we're going to talk about then like following the instinct, why do I feel sad right now? Well, let me lean into it because I can trust myself. Why am
Yes.
I angry? I don't know, but I can trust myself. So let me lean into this. I don't know why. I just want to like I feel, I don't know why, but I trust myself. It's the fundamental contextual shift of I can trust myself. That's how we shift internally, and then internally becomes externally. That's how we shift the relationship we have to the feminine. And then we don't allow people in our space. We just simply don't allow people in our space. When they start to do that, we either shift them, train them, love them into, or we leave them. Like, that's it. Or we just
Mm-hmm.
let them go. All right, you just don't give them energy. I'm playing this game. You want to play this game with me? Great.
I love it. You have just described my whole life in a nutshell. Like, really,
Woman
this is just incredible. You are just so confirming and affirming lots of things for me. This is incredible. I'm just like on the edge of my seat. of what the next thing you're going to say is, because I'm just tracking with all of it. And I think that, you know, you're giving voice to what we have kind of always known as women, but we've never given ourselves permission, like you were talking about, to explore. And so I just love the fact that, you know, we can just, I don't know what I want to say. There's just so much going on. But just
feel your excitement, and you're like, oh,
yes.
like,
Oh gosh, I'm forgetting that there's an audience. I'm like, do we have comments? I forgot, and it's just like me and you, and I love it. Because, you know, those of us who have started on a journey of self, just knowing ourselves and giving ourselves permission, like we have not advocated for ourselves, some of us, for years, okay? And we haven't had that, like you mentioned, that coach, that person, that whatever. We might have along the way, you know, and I'm so grateful for the people that have been in my life to show me things about myself, and I'm forever grateful about that, and to them. But I love what you touched on about self-trust. And I would like to talk about that a little bit more, because I'm finding that, like, as I've been doing this 30-day journey, trust just popped up. Like, you need to deal with trust. Like, really? Oh, wow. I didn't realize I didn't trust myself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. It's called being a woman. It's called being a person. But it's really about, like, it's like down the totem pole, where it's like you've got people, like, we're built in a society where we are not supposed to trust yourself. You're supposed to trust the media, and you're supposed to trust not the media like the news. I'm talking about, like, the advertisements and what they say that we're supposed to be. But women are, like, so down, and then, like, whatever. So yeah, absolutely, trust is an issue for sure. Self-trust for sure.
Incredible.
Do you want to speak to that a little bit, or do you want me to say something to that, or do you
yes
want
to could you, just from your experience, because I know you've worked with over like 20 years, right, with people, and I know you have so much wisdom to offer.
So this is like a bigger conversation. You know, this bleeds a little bit into the conversations I have about disordered people. Like, you know, there's a big conversation out there right now about, or big, you know, given some of our politics, you know, narcissism and borderline and schizoid and et cetera, but narcissism especially. And some of us are in relationships with people who are may not be full blown narcissists, but they might have narcissistic tendencies, or maybe ourselves, you know, if we're walking around in life and our relationships aren't quite working, and then we are constantly going like, it's them and the world, and so, you know, you might not know that you have some narcissistic tendencies or adaptations that you're leaning towards if your like life and your relationships aren't quite working out.
Oh my gosh.
Part of the breaking through those particular gaslighting, crazy making, and the crazy making, I say crazy making specifically because the crazy making thing is that our system, our some integrity knows the truth of something. But in the face of someone, and it's not just someone, it's sometimes like life or the way it's done or your family or religion or something, tells you, no, this is how it's done. Like, you can be inside of like really unhealthy situations or communities or family systems or dynamics or whatever. And it doesn't even have to be textbook unhealthy. It could be unhealthy to your system. Someone who needs to eat meat, but is in a vegetarian society and is getting sick. There's nothing wrong with vegetarian, but if the person needs to eat meat, they should go eat meat. And so, like, they can make themselves crazy. So this isn't about right or wrong.
Right.
This is about rightness and integrity. That's different. So you could be walking along and you know something is right for you and that something feels wrong. But if you rock the boat, or if you speak up, or so and so, we start to pretend that our feeling is not there. We don't trust ourselves because everybody else is doing it, and look at how well it's working for that person, and I don't know, and so blah, 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 and that person seems to be happy, and that person's like so and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and then we're just so disconnected from ourselves that we can't even, and then we're just like miserable, and then we start to try to, it's crazy making. It's completely crazy making. In the small ways, how we like get present to ourselves and how we break the cycle and we start to trust is we just tell the truth, which is, I And I'm just going to say a bad word. I feel like shit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel horrible and I feel crazy. And I don't know why I feel crazy. And I don't know if I want to cry or scream or kill you or kill myself. I don't know what's going on. You just tell the truth.
Yes.
And you basically just go, I'm not going to do anything right now until I 100% know. And I'm just going to start to like follow. And if you have to say the madness, follow the madness. It will make you sane. It will.
I love it. I
Trust
love it.
yourself little by little, little by little.
And that's such a brave and courageous step, don't you think? Because when you're getting the signal, like you said, from everywhere else that this is not the way it's supposed to be, just to kind of break through that mold and say, no, but this is the truth of how I feel. That's like, isn't that like the first step out of hell for some people?
And by the way, it's biologically wired into us. Our need for belonging is hardwired into ourselves on a survival level. So you are not, if for those of us who are struggling with if you're shaming yourself and you're thinking, why can't I be strong enough to speak up? And so stop doing that to yourselves right now. Stop. I have a magic wand. I'm going to just do toom toom. Stop doing that to yourself right now. It is hardwired into us. Our need to belong is more important than food. I'm not kidding you about that. That's how powerful that is. So if you are inside of a community or a marriage or a relationship or a situation where you feel compelled to betray yourself in order to belong, I understand. It takes enormous courage to even contemplate. You are not crazy. You are not doing it wrong. It's hardwired into your system. If you need help in becoming more authentically you and you are involved in a situation that is just not good for you for whatever reason, not bad, not because they're bad people, not because they're bad none of that. It's just not necessarily good for you. Know that you are under a circumstance and a situation that is larger than you and that you need help. Like one stick, if you try to break it, will break. But if you put a bunch of sticks together, it becomes much harder to break. You like little by little build your system and your foundation so that when you don't start in your life at the 100-pound weight, you start at the 2-pound weight. And you build the muscle from there to the 5-pound, then the 6-pound, then the 8-pound. You get really good at that. And eventually, the 100-pound weight will be easy, but don't skip to the 100-pound weight. You do it little by little. And trusting yourself is literally as simple as, I'm just going to let myself sleep for an extra hour.
I know what a lot of moms that just really landed with them.
Yes.
Something so simple as a physical need, right?
Yes. I'm going to put this need for an hour of just me time, just an hour. I'm going to trust that. I need that. Great. And then advocate the hell out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Be worth it to you for that hour. I'm going to stand on my hill and I'm going to make sure that I have that. It's the first is the fight internally and next is the fight externally until you realize you don't need to fight at all. And that's a process.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And just the fact that, you need someone sometimes an objective person to kind of walk you through, because an objective person can see what I can't see going on in my life. They might, like you were able to say, let's just get present. Let's get, in the moment, take our emotional, spiritual, if need be, temperature, and just kind of start from there. Just an honest statement about how you feel. I mean, you kind of need somebody, like what you did for me before this call, is you kind of need somebody with objective eyes, somebody who's not involved in your life and in the craziness and the drama, to encourage you to do that. Because when I started taking, like you talked about staking your stake, when I started doing that in my life, everything started to change, everything. And then just, everything started to unfold. I knew exactly what the next step to take was, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And so for me, being a schooling at home mom, that
Mm.
I'm always with my kids 24/7, like, and that's not a bad thing. And I'm not looking at that with judgment. I'm just saying in that there are some needs that I have that I need to address for myself so that I could really show up as my most authentic self. Because listen, I don't want a stranger raising my kids. I don't want a stranger in my living my marriage. This is important. I have to take this first step. And for me, it was personal development and self-care. And we're not, like we were talking about before, it's not like the bath and the manicure. I mean, those are great, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the internal work.
Yeah.
And so I love that you speak to that, Anna.
The content is actually nothing if your intention and your context isn't aligned. So you could be, I don't mean we can be as people, as women, we could be like, all I need is a massage and stuff. And then you're on the massage table being like, oh God, I'm leaving my kids and I don't know why I'm leaving my kids. And I don't know, like you're like like actually
you're thinking of them the
more
whole time.
anxiety.
Yes, right. Exactly.
So being on top of not having the context is actually like a little bit of hell that you're walking every single day. And you're like, see, that never works. I don't know why even people that doesn't work. Well, of course it doesn't work. You're not actually addressing the relationship with yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you speak to the fact that, as women, we need to do this. And I found that that's so many things kind of line up from there. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Because when I started on self-care journey, it just seemed like doors opened up for me that were closed before. And maybe it's because I was opening up from the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, you're speaking to like a phenomenon that's like that, that people tell you and you don't know it's true until you discover for yourself that it's true.
Right.
I used to hate hearing just like I remember when I was in heartbreak land, and it's like people who are single and people who are like coupled up and happy, they go, you just stop thinking about it and then it'll come to you. And I would always be like, fuck you.
Right.
It's so I don't want it to sound patronizing or like, especially if you're really working through something and suffering through something, like it could come across a little bit like, well, you just like sort of imagine yourself into joy. And then that's not actually how it works. It does, but it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's genuinely like, we're talking about a level of surrender. People talk about surrender like it's the easiest thing on the planet to do, especially for women who like to control and who are smarter than everybody else around them. So you are one of those women, and I am one of those women who, for the most part, I like to control, and I'm usually smarter than most of the people in the room around me. Yeah, and in fact, a lot of people listening could probably raise their hand around that. If you're a woman, that's who you are, and you're like the CEO of your world, and you're running the heck out of things, well. And when people come in and they do it wrong, you're like, yeah. So your control is actually like for a reason. So when someone talks about like surrender, it's like, yeah, like poke you in the eye.
Right.
I'm sorry to say, what Vestine is referring to and alluding to is there is a level of which, yes, there's like this interdependent things I can control and things I can't control. And finding the balance between both of those things is the life's work. And what Vestine is talking about is when she has finally given up control over the things she actually can't control. She actually can't control other people. She actually can't control like who's going to call, who's not, how much, but like whatever, the madness that we do to ourselves. When we actually go, okay, I'm going to do the things I can do, make the calls, go to the gym, like put my resume in, I don't know, whatever it is, do the scheduling, like balance my check. I don't care what it is. Do the things that you actually can do. And give up, surrender to a higher power, to God. I don't care what your God is. But if it's a God of your understanding that is actually has your back, that you feel fundamentally has your back, that you can have faith in. I don't mean some idea of like, well, I tried God and it didn't work, so now I'm on my own. No, I don't care what your God is. God by any other name will still smell sweet. If you can surrender those things to some higher power and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it will be handled, even if it doesn't look exactly the way you thought, it actually will turn out better in the long run. And so
Oh,
what Christine is talking about deeply is surrender. And that is very challenging for complicated minds. It's easy, but it's very challenging sometimes for complicated minds. So yeah.
indeed, indeed. And I love that you speak to, you need to have a faith. It's coming down to a trust, a faith really in, like you're saying, a higher power. I grew up in the recovery movement. And so I'm sorry, it works, 12-step program. It works to an extent to where, hey, you know what? I have a relative who was in recovery for 20 something years. And when she first heard that they said, oh, you need to submit to a higher power, she was out the door because of spiritual abuse growing up. So, but going from that to, yes, just having faith, like you're talking about, in a deity and something higher than yourself, that is really so key and so very important, because, the details can always be filled in later. We have to start somewhere, and we have to start with trust. And that's part of the surrender process, wouldn't you say, Anna?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, yeah. Listen, I've had a heck of a curriculum in my life where it's like I did not realize, like I've had, like just growing up, just like violent, like I've had a lot of stories, and then of course my father, my brother, like I've had a lot of reasons for why I could look at evidence and be like, there is no loving God in the universe.
Absolutely.
And I have to say that for me personally, believing that produced an experience of life that I got tired of living.
Wow.
I could see evidence of that everywhere. And I did. And it made the quality of my life feel a certain way. And it wasn't until I actually started to genuinely challenge that. Because some part of me on the inside was like, well, it's I remember at 5 years old believing that, and somewhere along the way I know all the reasons why, but like what if I could go back and and so when I started to actually, like, little by little, okay, I will believe this much. Okay, I'll believe this much. My life got to the degree that I was able to give over, that's how much better my life would become.
Wow.
So for those people who have lots of reasons, I am not going to like, there's a lot of spiritual bypassing that happens. I am not one of those people that's going to look at you and go, it's just, it's whatever you make. No, 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 no. We are walking around with a lot of shock and horror and pain and suffering and grief. I'm not going to like step over that. That actually did happen to you. And there's a way in which we've made meaning of the things that have happened to us. And I'm not going to go into this thing, but I've had like rapes and things. Like, if I could, those things have happened, but the meaning I made, I'm not worth anything. Men are shit. If I make meaning from that, that's the world I will look and see and have proof around. And trust me, I will make that world happen around me. But that's not my world. Trust me when I tell you that is not my. I just felt like I just put a bomb in the room, but whatever. But like,
no, that's great. I love it because, a lot of people I think can identify with that. I think they can identify with what you're saying because you've just taken the lid off of their shame. And so the bomb maybe you're feeling is like, oh, there it is, And so it's like you're giving women and men permission to, hey, there it is, the elephant in the room. And I think that you can only start coming out from that point. Listen, some of us have had horrible things happen in our lives, like you're saying, Anna. We're not even willing to acknowledge it, but the meaning that we attach to the event and the pain and the hurt and the horrificness of it is still running in the background. It's still causing us to make certain decisions in our lives, causing self-sabotage, causing destruction to relationships. And we can put whatever even spiritual band-aid we want on it. It's not going to go away. No. And so I love that you just put the bomb in the room. I just love that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. We have a couple of minutes left, and I wanted to know if there was something that we wanted to leave people with, or if there was a question.
Yes. Let me check. I'm seeing the comments. If you have a question, go ahead and drop it in the comments. If you have a question for Anna, or you have something you want to say, maybe a takeaway from this discussion. I know we had some tech problems in the beginning, but I do know we are going good now. People are responding. Oops. People are responding. Sorry about that.
I've been there, done that, so I understand.
Yes,
Don't worry about it.
people do these like lives and then they're like distracted by the comments and everything. But I don't have any comments so far, but I want to let you guys know, those of you who are watching the replay, that, definitely you can put comments on this replay or wherever you might see this on YouTube. Also, Anna has a website that you can go, and she has a wonderful blog. I just want to invite you to go over there. Her website is www.adlifedesign.com. That's lifedesign.com. And you can check out her blog. It's amazing. I started getting into it. I can't wait to dive in more. She has so much experience in this area that we're talking about today, and lots of other things. And so you want to go over there, you can sign up for a free consultation with her on her website. And also check out her YouTube channel as well, because the YouTube is, I believe, the YouTube channel name, I have the URL. I'll put it.
Disorderly Conducts.
Disorderly Conducts. Yes.
It's all about disorders and things like that in a way that's a little bit more humane and has some clarity.
It's amazing. So if you want to delve more into learning about borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and schizoid, go there.
A little light study.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I love it because it's so in depth. We need, and I know she does, interviews with experts in this field. And I know we hear a lot of things, right, in pop culture, and this has become very popular to talk about narcissists and gaslighting and all this stuff. There's so much information out there, but you're getting quality information on your YouTube. So I just want to thank you for that so much. Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we close?
Yeah, I want to leave people, because we only have like a couple of minutes. I want to leave this is what if there's nothing except for this that you took away from our conversation, is I want to reiterate that there's no amount of self-criticism or self-hatred or self-flagellation or self like hatred. I'm going to repeat that.
Loathing,
control, like definite, like I need to control. No amount of that is actually going to set you free and have you feel good about yourself. And so take the radical first step. I don't care what it is, the radical first step into figuring out moment by moment how to love yourself. And that requires a new relationship to yourself, real listening, real attention, real care. A conversation, you might suddenly start talking to yourself or trying to care about yourself, and you'll find that you get really pissed because there's a part of you that's just like, now where have you been all this time? That's not right. And a real relationship requires patience and listening. And so if there's nothing else that you took from this conversation except for how do I start this? That's how you start. You just turn towards yourself and go, I'm here. I haven't been here all this time, but I'm here now. And no matter what comes up, I'm here. Just marry yourself somehow. Commit to yourself, even if it's for an hour, even if it's for 30 days, the way Vestina is doing. Just figure out how to do that. And if you need help, go to someone who knows how to do it. It doesn't have to be me. It could be anybody. I don't care. I'm only invested in people loving. I have one of those silly beliefs that if there's a lot of people walking around who are genuinely caring and loving and patient and compassionate towards themselves, we actually produce a world that mirrors that as well. So I'm playing that game.
That's my heart.
Yeah.
That's my whole heart and vision. I absolutely love it. Yes. Taking it big. This is the implication of this. We can't even fathom it yet. I love what you just said about just start start loving yourself. Take like you were talking about, 5 minutes, an hour, just start. I love it. Thank you so much, Anna, for
You're
being with us
welcome.
today. You've brought such clarity to me personally, and I know enlightenment to our viewers, and I hope everyone enjoys. And go over to Anna's website, check it out, check out her YouTube channel, and I hope you will be coming on with us again in the future. I just love talking to you all the time. And so thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Thank you, Anna, for taking time out of your busy schedule. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Thank
Thank
you, Anna.
you. Bye.
Bye.